So I just want to thank Gay and Queen for being here today for Healing with the Blues. This is the massive talent entertainer Gaye Adegbalola, and I'm so happy to have you here. And Queen is her partner, so I'm just happy to have both of you here. And feel free to chime in whenever. I've known about Gaye for about 30 years, I guess.
Mhm.
Um, no, maybe like 27, because I saw you play at the Mississippi Valley Blues Fest with Sapphire Uppity Blues Women
Mhm.
so many years ago. And she's a mother, a daughter, a child of God. She's making healing music wherever she goes. And she's also my favorite thing, because I do women's empowerment blues. She writes women's black feminist blues. And I'm telling you, that's some powerful stuff right there. Just to say those words all in a line is really
Yeah,
powerful.
and it's not necessarily for Black women per se,
Right.
because it's for women and men. It's for Black and white and any color in between. But I just say that it's from the perspective of a Black woman.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
And so when we're talking about blues, and the whole idea here is that blues is a healer. What does that mean to you, that blues is a healer, Gay?
Well, two things. I often say that blues is the poor person's psychiatrist, and you have to know when it was born. And it was born among poor Black people. And the blues basically does one of two things. Either you are able to cry and know that you're not alone, but you get the pain out. Or the other thing that the blues does in terms of healing is that it allows you to shake your ass on a Saturday night.
Hello.
And I think that one of the greatest blessings that God has given us is to be able to dance. So blues helps to facilitate that freedom. A lot of times you need a way to just put your mind at
Mhm.
ease.
Yeah.
Like if we think about the way of the world right now, it can be overwhelming. And
Mhm.
sometimes you just need to let your mind go. And so for some people, they can sit around and go home, or they can ride off into the sunset on a motorcycle, but I just as soon sing a blues song. The other
Yeah.
thing that's interesting is that many blues, especially 12 bar blues, you say a line, you repeat a line, and then you answer those first two lines. Part of that is about uh, in church, often with the choir, there's a singer or lead singer, and then the choir responds. So that's your AA. And then, so instead with blues, you don't have a choir. So you sing your own response. You do your call, you give your own response, you give your own answer.
Yeah.
And then you just let the pain go. You let the pain out.
And
So
when
that's the
I,
way I see it.
yeah,
It's a
when I,
healing thing.
absolutely. I mean, a lot of the people that I talk to about this, and for me too, is like, everybody can have the blues. It doesn't matter who you are.
Mhm.
But being in a common experience with people and knowing that somebody's been there before you, and
And
knowing that
survived it.
and survived it, exactly.
Mhm.
And when I'm teaching blues to people about why we have it, I always say, this is born out of people who had no hope of ever getting out of the situation they were
Mhm.
in,
Mhm.
and they had to have some way, like you said, poor person psychiatrist, they had to have
Mhm.
some way of expressing their feelings that wouldn't get them killed.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
I think a
a lot
lot
of
of
code
times kind of,
words.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. Kind of like what I find missing in some of today's blues is just you have to pay homage to where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
The oppression
Mm-hmm.
of Black people in this country is unlike any that's ever been in the world.
Yeah.
Our language was taken, our families were taken, our culture was taken, and the only thing that just wasn't taken was that flatted third. Um, and it's my belief that what united us on the boats during the Middle Passage
Mm.
was a humming and a release of the pain. Can you imagine just laying on your back in vomit and feces for miles and miles, for months and months, not knowing where you're going, not
Mm-mm.
knowing the language? The stench alone would drive most people insane.
Yeah.
So we had to find ways to survive the insanity of it all.
Absolutely. And there are times, I mean, now we see what's happening with the pandemic. It's people going into the hospital and never coming out again, loved
Mm-hmm.
ones being separated and not being able to be there for their person that is most important in their life. And the abject grief and sadness that we have from that is permeating a lot of things. I'm actually doing a webinar tomorrow called 5 Simple Ways to Go from Grief to Relief, and we're going to be doing healing during that. And you're all invited, by the way. But the other question I have for you, Gay, was like, what brought you to it? I mean, I know that you may have been steeped in this from a very young age, but what was it that made you want to express yourself this way? Was it something that happened in your life? Was it a way of
Sure,
being?
sure. I think for most people, the blues finds you. And I didn't go out looking
Amen.
for it, but it found me. And I was steeped in music. My father had a little jazz combo. That was not what he did for a living, but that's what he did on the weekends. And there was a lot of jazz music and big band music in my house. Count Basie, Duke Ellington, and then organ combos, Wild Bill Davis, Jimmy Smith, Groove Holmes. And on the other side, my mom worked at a youth canteen. So she always, every time the jukebox changed, she would bring home the old records. So I would hear the Drifters and the Platters. And then I grew up dancing to James Brown and Etta James and Ruth Brown and so on
Mm,
and so forth. So I've been steeped in all kinds of music. But my parents, every summer, and we were not well off. We were really quite poor, but they would
mhm,
save to go to 2 concerts in DC every summer. I live in Virginia,
mhm,
and we would go up. My father's love. We would go up to this series at the Carter Barron Amphitheater, and we would see Ella Fitzgerald,
mm.
and usually Oscar Peterson played with her. We did that all of my preteen years and some of my teen years.
Oh, that's
And for
awesome.
my mom, she always wanted to see Harry Belafonte. Every year he had a different opening act. And one year he had Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee. And when I saw them and I heard them, I knew that was my music,
Yeah.
period. And I didn't really get into it until much later because that wasn't the music that I grew up listening to.
Mhm.
But I got into it, and when I did, I really did. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never forget seeing you on stage with your your other two,
Hmm.
your
Anne
trio,
and
and
Andra. Yeah.
yeah, and just going, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that this blues existed, and I'm
Mhm.
so excited and so
Mhm.
happy. So we do middle-aged boogie in our set list,
Great, great.
and I get that request quite often from the
Hmm.
middle-aged women
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
audience, and it's so
Yeah.
much fun to play. I have to make the guys play it a little slow because it has a lot of words.
Yes,
So,
it does.
so
Yeah.
but I enjoy it.
Yeah. One thing I find with a song like that, and many of the songs that I do, is like you give your audience permission to do and say and be a certain way. Just like when you sing Wild Women Don't Worry,
Mhm,
Wild Women Don't Get the Blues, you give the audience, those women, permission to be wild. And Middle Aged
mhm,
Blues, you give the women permission to
mhm.
date a younger person. And
Exactly.
so when you talk about the blues as healing,
Mhm,
the blues is, and I say the blues is a poor person's psychiatrist. So what psychiatrists try to do is give you a degree of freedom. And as Janis Joplin said in her song, freedom is another word for nothing left to lose. Well, I don't believe that. Um,
mm,
it's you need, sometimes you just need freedom in your mind.
I think that's lack thinking, what she's saying with that.
Oh,
And
but it's great. It's a great song.
it's a great
Yeah,
song,
yeah.
but it's lack
Um,
thinking. And freedom, I think of freedom as like, well, I'm standing in the light of God's love. I'm free to do whatever I'm called to do. I don't
God
have to
gave,
worry about it.
yeah, God gave us all free will, and and then, and Queen, you can help me with this right here. But then He sent us Christ to give us an example of how to live and how to use your free will. And you
Yeah, I love it.
see so
Yeah.
many Christians, quote unquote, who don't try to be Christ-like. And so while I don't know all the answers, I do know that I'm going to try to love everybody I come in contact with.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, being accepting of others where they're at is a huge calling for people. And the way I look at it is God is an energy, and we have that energy in the form of the Holy Spirit as a way for us to access it, and Jesus as an example for us to look at and read His words, and to understand Him on a level that is so visceral and heartfelt. So when I'm doing healing with people, we're going right to the heart of the matter. Yeah, it might be their body that's having a problem, but that always starts in spirit, because we're a body that we're just a body, but we have a body. We are a spirit.
Right.
So we aren't a body that has a spirit inside. We're a spirit that is inhabiting a body. Big difference.
And
So
Queen, you're muted. I hear you chiming in, but that's because I'm sitting right behind you. But
Yeah, but
your mic is off.
I know, but if I don't, then
and there's going to be an echo.
Yeah, but when you want to say something, why don't you put it on and
But I thought she can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you
Oh,
a little
okay.
bit.
Yeah, that's
A little
All
bit.
right.
It's background, but you can always turn around and go into her camera too. It's okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. There we go. There we go.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you're doing what you're doing, and that you're keeping on, and that your schedule is kind of amazing too, because you were just here and just before Thanksgiving, and I know that you're doing some other things too. So I really appreciate this time of talking
Well,
about
let me tell
healing.
about one of the things that actually
Yeah.
Queen and I are doing this, but
Yeah.
every Saturday we're coming up on 3 years. We have done 2 years and I guess 2 years and 8 months of programs every Saturday called The Front Porch, half lit and talking smack. And so we're getting ready to do it. We go live at 3:00 Eastern every Saturday for about 20 minutes. And I think that's how, like, the people in Iowa even found out about us, between the program and Jenny Gratis.
Yes, Jenny Grouse. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Queen, can you come on mic for a minute and tell us, like, where do people find that? Is that on Facebook? Is it on
There you go. Come on, man.
Yes.
Team Labrador Retriever? You have a
Oh,
Labrador Retriever.
no, I got this from the Goodwill, and I love this sweatshirt.
That's great.
But yeah, so we can be found on Gaye Adegbalola Facebook page, and it's every Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern time.
I love that. It's my favorite blues of all time, is to be sitting on a porch and playing and listening and just having a good old time.
The funny thing is,
in the way that it is.
oh, I was just saying, the funny thing is, our new house doesn't have quite the porch that we had at our other house. So that's on our Santa's list. Hopefully Santa got that request and is going to make that happen.
You heard him. It's right here, Santa. Get that porch going.
Yes.
We need that. We need that front porch blues.
Yes.
Thank you so
Let
much.
me,
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let me just back up and insert a couple of things for any of your listeners who might have been Sapphire fans. The music, there's several different kinds of blues. You got jump blues, you got Chicago style blues, you got a whole different blues out of Houston, for example, or California. In DC, you got a go-go kind of blues. The kind of blues that Sapphire did, we were on that blues tree called classic blues. And that was mainly blues from the 20s and 30s. So we're talking about not just Bessie Smith, but Ida Cox and Alberta Hunter and Victoria Spivey and Sippy Wallace, if you will,
Wallace, yeah.
Lucille Bogan.
Songs, yeah.
And so a lot of what we did was of that ilk. You know, they were the prototype of where we, so when I write, I usually use that kind of blues form, which is a little different than the just 1-4-5. And then, but I write about contemporary things within that particular form. The other thing I just wanted to add, when we were talking about blues being that relief from the oppression that we as a people were facing. One thing that happened, especially with Black men, is that you weren't allowed to show your pain. You could be suffering immensely, whether it was physical suffering or mental anguish. You certainly couldn't, there was no such thing as depression. If you were depressed and you told people about it or acted it out in any kind of way, then you were sold off. You were sold off. So you had to be strong to endure the pain, even if you were to survive as an enslaved person. So that's one of those things that blues did. It gave us an out, and not just a personal out, but I'm not just talking about a personal heartbreak, but I'm talking about a cultural heartbreak.
Well, and that's interesting because that's what we're doing with Healing with the Blues. Our mission is to help people understand that it's there for healing too, but it's healing all of us. So as a white woman singing the blues, sometimes I feel like, oh, is this really okay? But then I think, well, where one is oppressed, we're all oppressed. We can't escape that.
That sounds like Fannie Lou Hamer. Come on now. You can't be free until we're all free. Fannie Lou Hamer.
Yeah, and I just feel like it's so important for us to understand that, like, when one person's not free, none of us are free. When we can't express who we are and our feelings, and I tell this to my clients and my patients all the time, it's okay to have negative feelings. You're gonna have them. You're a human being. What you want to do is express them in a healthy way. Blues is a great way to express your feelings, your negative feelings, in a healthy way. And there's happy blues, there's sad blues, there's sexy blues, there's sarcastic blues, there's I'm gonna get you blues. There's all kinds.
And there's blues that says the first recorded blues, crazy blues. The last verse says, "I'm gonna be like a Chinaman, go and get me some hop." That's opium. Gonna get myself a gun and shoot myself a cop. So a lot of the blues lyric talks about what you might want to do and you can't do, but you sing about it, so you get it. So here's the first recording that made any kind of music commercially viable was Crazy Blues in 1920. And that last verse just resonated with people. So people who were buying it were not going to go out and get a gun and shoot a cop, but they damn sure were going to sing about it.
Absolutely. We have to be able to release our thoughts, our feelings and emotions, because when we press them down, we can see what happens. It's endemic to the population, high blood pressure and diabetes. When you press your feelings down into your body will respond, even if you don't think you're having those feelings. So we call that subconscious emotional memories overriding present time. What if you're taught over and over and over again how oppressed you've been, how bad it's been? How are you gonna escape that?
You're gonna dance. You're gonna dance.
You're gonna dance. You're gonna sing it out. Right. You're gonna heal it.
Right. I'm gonna dance. Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, folks, if you haven't seen Gaye in person, she will dance. So get ready for that. And if Queen's there, she'll be dancing too, and she'll get it.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I want to thank you so much for the time that you spent with me today.
Dr. E, you got it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hope to
Bye.
get back to Iowa soon.
Yes, Iowa. Yes, come back.